The first thing everyone noticed about Maya Robinson was how quietly she moved through the restaurant, like someone who had learned long ago not to take up too much space. She wore the same neatly pressed black apron every shift, the fabric faded at the edges from years of washing, the strings tied carefully at her waist. Her hair was always pulled back into a simple bun, no loose strands, no room for complaint. At 28, Maya had been working at Whitmore's Grill since she was 19, longer than any other server on staff, longer even than most of the managers. Yet to many of the regular customers, she was invisible, until the night everything went wrong. Whitmore's Grill sat on the corner of Maple and 7th, an upscale downtown restaurant with dim lighting, polished wood floors, and framed black and white photos of the city back when it had class, as the owner liked to say. The clientele was mostly white, mostly wealthy, and mostly convinced that places like Whitmore's existed for their comfort alone. Maya knew the unspoken rules well. Smile first, apologize even when you're right, lower your voice, never show irritation, and never, under any circumstances, talk back. She followed those rules religiously. She had to. Her mother, Denise, had drilled them into her since Maya was a teenager balancing school and double shifts. You don't get the benefit of the doubt, her mother would say, so don't give them a reason. Maya hated how true that was. On the night in question, the restaurant was packed. A private event had just ended upstairs, and the main floor buzzed with conversation, clinking glasses, and the low hum of entitlement. Maya had already worked 9 hours without a break. Her feet ached, and a dull headache pressed behind her eyes, but she kept moving, tray balanced perfectly on one hand, posture straight, expression calm. Table 12 had been trouble from the moment they sat down. 4 white men in tailored suits, loud, dismissive, snapping their fingers instead of making eye contact. Maya greeted them politely, took their drink orders, and returned within minutes. The complaints started immediately. The ice wasn't right. The glasses weren't cold enough. One of them joked, loudly, about how these places always go downhill when they start hiring for diversity. Maya pretended not to hear it. She always did. Halfway through their meal, one man, later identified as Richard Hale, waved her over aggressively. "Hey," he said, leaning back in his chair, "this steak is overcooked." Maya looked at the plate. Medium rare, exactly as ordered. Pink center, warm, perfect. She chose her words carefully. "I'm sorry you're not satisfied, sir." "I can have the kitchen remake it for you," Richard scoffed. "No, I don't want another one. I want this taken off the bill." "I'll need to check with my manager," Maya replied evenly. That was when his expression changed. "Why do you people always have an attitude?" he said, voice rising just enough for nearby tables to hear. "I asked for something simple." Maya felt the familiar tightening in her chest, the instinct to shrink. But something about the way he said, "you people," the exhaustion, the years of swallowing words, it all collided. She took a slow breath. "Sir," she said, still calm, still quiet, "I'm trying to help you. There's no need to speak to me like that." The table went silent. Across the room, the floor manager, Evan Whitmore, the owner's son, had already started walking toward them. Evan was in his early 30s, crisp white shirt, permanent look of irritation. He'd never liked Maya. She was too serious, he once said. Not warm enough. "What's the problem here?" Evan asked, not looking at Maya at all. "This waitress," Richard said, pointing at her, "is being disrespectful, talking back. I spend a lot of money here, and I don't come to be lectured." Maya opened her mouth to explain, but Evan cut her off. "Maya, step away from the table." "I didn't do anything wrong," she said, her voice steady but firm. Evan's eyes narrowed. "See? That attitude. Go to the back. Now." She did as she was told. 10 minutes later, Evan followed her into the staff hallway, the sounds of the dining room muffled behind the swinging doors. "You embarrassed a guest," he said flatly. "That's unacceptable." I defended myself, Maya replied. He was insulting me. Evan laughed once, sharp and humorless. You don't get to decide that. You're here to serve. If you can't handle that, maybe this isn't the place for you. Then he said the words that would change her life. You're fired, effective immediately. Maya stood there, stunned. 9 years, perfect attendance, countless double shifts, all erased in a sentence. She removed her apron slowly, folded it, and placed it on the metal shelf by the door. No shouting, no tears, just a quiet, burning disbelief. As she walked out the back entrance into the cold night air, she didn't know that every word, every movement, every second of that interaction had been captured on the restaurant's security cameras. Footage that would soon travel far beyond Whitmore's grill, into a courtroom, and into the conscience of an entire city. The restaurant changed the moment Angela walked back in the next morning. It was subtle, almost invisible to anyone who didn't live inside the rhythms of the place, but Angela felt it immediately. The usual clatter of dishes sounded sharper. Conversations dropped a half-second too late when she passed. Eyes followed her, some curious, some cautious, some already judging. The manager, Rick Holloway, stood near the host stand with his arms crossed. A white man in his late 40s, always pressed, always tense, he gave Angela the same look he always did, polite on the surface, irritated underneath, as if her very presence was an inconvenience he had learned to tolerate but never accept. "You're late," he said flatly, glancing at his watch. Angela checked the wall clock behind him. She was 2 minutes early. "Good morning, Rick," she replied evenly. "I clock in at 8. Rick's jaw tightened. "Just make sure you're on the floor when your shift starts. We've had complaints." Complaints. The word landed like a stone. "About what?" Angela asked. Rick hesitated. That was new. He usually enjoyed these moments. "Customers feel you're defensive," he said finally. "They don't like the tone." Angela nodded slowly. "Which customers?" Rick waved a dismissive hand. "This isn't a debate. Just do your job." Angela wanted to say something. She wanted to point out that tone always seemed to mean a black woman who didn't smile enough, who didn't shrink herself, who answered questions instead of absorbing insults in silence. But she swallowed it. Rent was due. Her sister's tuition payment was looming. Silence, again, felt safer than truth. She tied on her apron and stepped onto the floor. By noon, the restaurant was packed. Lawyers from the nearby courthouse filled the booths, suits and briefcases everywhere. Angela moved efficiently, balancing plates, refilling drinks, memorizing orders the way she always had. She was good at this. She knew she was good at this. Even Rick had said so once, years ago, before something in his tone changed. Table 12 was a problem the moment she reached it. 4 people sat there, 3 white men in tailored suits, and 1 white woman scrolling on her phone. The man closest to the aisle barely looked up when Angela greeted them. "Water," he said. "No, please." "Of course," Angela replied. "Still or sparkling?" He sighed dramatically. "Just water." She brought the drinks back within a minute. As she set the glasses down, one of the men leaned back in his chair. "You know," he said, smirking, "they really need to train you people better. This took long enough." The words were quiet, said with practiced casualness, like a joke that wasn't meant to be challenged. Angela froze for half a second. Then she met his eyes. "Sir," she said calmly, "I brought your water as quickly as possible. If there's something else you need—" "See," the woman cut in, looking up from her phone. "That attitude, that's what I'm talking about." Angela felt heat rise in her chest. "What attitude?" she asked. Her voice was steady but firm. The first man scoffed. "Don't start. We're the customers." Angela straightened. "And I'm your server. I'm here to help, not to be insulted." The table went silent. That was when Rick appeared. "What's going on here?" he demanded, already looking at Angela, not them. "She got mouthy," the first man said immediately. Completely unprofessional. Rick didn't ask questions. He didn't ask what was said. He didn't ask Angela for her side. "Angela," he said sharply, "step away from the table, now." Angela looked at him. Really looked. "They insulted me," she said. "I didn't raise my voice. I didn't swear. I just asked to be treated with respect." Rick's face flushed. "You don't talk back to customers. That's the rule." "I didn't talk back," Angela said. "I responded." Rick's eyes hardened. "Office, now." The walk to the back felt longer than it ever had. Every step echoed. Every face she passed seemed suddenly distant, unreachable. In the office, Rick closed the door and crossed his arms again. "This isn't the first time," he said. "I've warned you before." Angela felt something inside her shift. Not snap. Settle. Like a decision being made quietly. Deeply. "You warned me about what?" she asked. "Standing up for myself?" Rick laughed, sharp and humorless. "See? This is exactly why you're a problem." "A problem for who?" Angela asked. "For this business," Rick said. "Customers don't come here to be challenged." Angela stared at him. "Then maybe they shouldn't come here to disrespect people." Rick exhaled loudly, as if she were exhausting him. "I'm done with this. You're fired." The words hung in the air. Angela blinked. "For what?" "Insubordination," Rick said. "Clear your locker." Angela didn't cry. Not then. She nodded once, untied her apron, and placed it neatly on the desk. "Just so you know," she said quietly, "there are cameras in that dining room." Rick smirked. "Good. They'll show exactly what I'm talking about." Angela held his gaze for a long moment. Then she turned and walked out, unaware that those same cameras would soon tell a very different story, one that Rick and everyone else had never expected to be seen. She didn't sleep that night. Every time Maya closed her eyes, she saw the same moment replay again and again. The manager's face twisted with irritation, the customer's smug smile, the word aggressive hanging in the air like a sentence already decided. By morning, her phone buzzed non-stop. Unknown numbers, missed calls, messages she was afraid to open. When she finally did, her breath caught. A short clip was circulating online, not the whole incident. Just a fragment, security footage someone had leaked. It showed Maya standing behind the counter, hands visible, posture rigid but controlled. The audio wasn't clear, but the body language was. The white customer leaned over the counter, finger inches from her face. The manager stood nearby, arms crossed, watching. Then Maya stepped back, shaking her head, clearly trying to disengage. The caption read, "Is this what talking back looks like?" By noon, the video had hundreds of thousands of views. By evening, it had millions. Maya didn't know who released it. The diner's owner denied responsibility. The manager refused to comment. But the damage, no, the truth, was already spreading faster than anyone could stop it. For the first time since that night, Maya felt something other than fear. She felt seen. Still, visibility came with a price. News vans appeared outside her apartment building. Commentators argued about her tone, her expression, her attitude. Some defended her fiercely. Others dissected her frame by frame as if searching for permission to doubt her pain. She watched one clip where a talking head said, "We don't know what happened before the cameras started." Maya laughed bitterly. They never needed to know before. Her lawyer, an older black woman named Denise Carter, sat across from her at the kitchen table the next morning. Calm, grounded, unmovable. "They're going to try to exhaust you," Denise said. "They'll question your character, your past, your emotions. That's how these cases work." Maya nodded. "I'm tired already." Denise leaned forward. "Good. That means you're human. But listen to me. This footage changes everything. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's ordinary. It shows restraint, it shows imbalance, and juries understand imbalance." Maya swallowed. "What if they still don't believe me?" Denise didn't hesitate. "Then we make them watch it again." Days later, the full security footage surfaced. All 12 minutes. This time, there was no ambiguity. Clear audio, clear faces, clear intent. The customer used language that made Maya's stomach twist when she heard it again. Coded insults, mockery, that slow, deliberate provocation meant to push her just far enough to react. The manager never intervened, never warned the customer, never protected her. And when Maya finally said calmly, "Sir, I'm asking you to lower your voice or I'll need to step away," the manager exploded. "Don't you talk back to him," he snapped. "Clock out, now." The courtroom was silent when the video ended. Maya sat at the witness table, hands folded, heart pounding so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Across the room, the former manager stared at the desk. The customer wasn't even present. The judge cleared his throat. The silence broke like glass. From that moment on, the narrative shifted. It was no longer, "Did she provoke them?" It became, "Why was she left alone in that moment? Why was her professionalism punished? Why did talking back only apply to her?" Maya didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. But for the first time since she'd put on that uniform, she felt something settle inside her chest. A quiet, steady sense that the fight was no longer just hers. And whatever came next, she would not face it alone.